So here's me and technology this morning. Okay. All right. Apologize. April, I see you in the chat already. Totally on dealer time today. My humble apologies. I did manage to get the waiting room going, though, about 8 minutes before I actually started the show. There's no wins. There's no silver lining here. I got to do a better job of putting my start time in a better position to be joined by you and everyone else. Welcome into the show either way. My name is Mark Farzetta. This right here is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It's wonderful to have you along for the ride. I don't understand why the Phillies didn't just have fans in the stands yesterday. I'm listening to Rob Thompson after the inter-squad game, after the scrimmage, to get ready for the NLDS. And, oh, baby, at least we don't have a sweep with the Mets and the Brew Crew. And it's going to wrap up today with the pivotal Game 3. That's the only one that's going 3 games, by the way. But after Rob Thompson had the inter-squad game, the scrimmage there at CBP, he addressed the media, and he was talking about how this team is taking it serious. They were really into it. They were going all after it in this inter-squad game. 5-5 tie, all right? Spencer Turnbull pitched in it. He did not do well. Ranger Suarez pitched in it. He did do well. Turnbull most likely won't pitch in the NLDS. Won't pitch in the NLDS is what I devised from it. And the Ranger Suarez could be the Game 4 starter if they need him to start a game, if it goes that far. I love that they did it, but one of the things Rob Thompson said is that they filtered in crowd noise. And I was like, I got an idea. How about you just have a crowd? How about you just let Philly fans would have went to that. They would have watched essentially a spring training game in October at Citizens Bank Park. I know fans were trying to get into the stadium. Like fans went to the stadium to watch the Phillies play each other in here's my notes, Bryce Harper and Paco Figueroa led team that took on a Kyle Schwarber and Dusty Wathan led team. Dusty Wathan was the skipper of the Schwarbombs, the Schwarbarians, I guess, was the team name. I don't know. And Paco Figueroa was the skipper of the Bryce Harpers. I don't even know. The hairstyle club. I don't know. That's who took on each other yesterday. Battle to a 5-5 tie. I'm watching this the wild card round and all that stuff, and I was talking a lot yesterday about the Mets. Like there'd be nothing that would make me happier in life than the New York Mets losing in the NLDS to the Philadelphia Phillies. The Brewers actually put up a hell of a fight. Churio is just trying to set every record for the youngest this, the youngest that, to do this and to do that in this little series here for the Brewers against the Mets. I'd love nothing more than the Mets to win, face the Phillies, and then fall flat on their asses as the Phillies move on to another NLCS. I would love nothing more than that. However, the Mets yesterday kind of did what they do, which is a poop at the bed, and now they're giving the Brewers a little bit more of a shot at life. And now the pitching matchup today is Jose Quintana against Tobias Myers there of the Brewers. That's a nice little pitching matchup. I know that there's a kind of a soft spot with a lot of people with Rhys Hoskins and coming back into Citizens Bank Park. If that happens in the playoffs, I very much doubt Rhys Hoskins is going to get any semblance of a warm welcome in Citizens Bank Park against the Phillies in the postseason. All that's going to go out the window. And all the good vibes and all that stuff. Like, who do I think they could beat? I still think that they have a better and easier time beating the Brewers. But who would it be better to beat? Oh, it'd absolutely be better to beat the Mets. I hope that this little, either way, Mets win or lose today, them at least taking this L in Game 2 against the Brewers lets them know that it's going to be a battle either way. So watching that game yesterday, I was just, the only thing I could hope for is that either way, it helps extinguish any fire that had been ignited in the New York Metropolitans. Something else I loved yesterday, A.J. Hinch and the Tigers. So A.J. Hinch was with the Phillies for a long time, and as a player. And then he goes to, where was it? Was it Arizona? And then it was Houston. And in Houston, of course, he's the fall guy for all the cheating gone on by the Houston Astros. The way MLB handled that whole situation is still just unbelievable to me. But the fact that no players were punished, is just insane. So AJ Hinch is like, let go. He goes to the Tigers. As fate would have it, of course, they face each other now in the AL wildcard round. And the Tigers win last night in incredible fashion. You're talking about a tie ball game, spiking the ball with a slider in the 8th inning, allowing the Tigers to score, tie things up, taking the lead later. Josh Hader getting his bell rung there by the Astros, and then AJ Hinch celebrating with his Detroit Tigers in the Houston Visitors Clubhouse. This is why sports are so much damn fun. Other than the amazing athletic feats, the storylines that go along with it are just beautiful. So he gets to pop the champagne in Houston again, this time charged to the Houston Astros. It's just a thing of beauty. And I like AJ Hinch, and that goes back to his time with the Phillies. So it's just a nice old clump of karma right there. This is just something I enjoyed yesterday. I wanted to share with you guys. And then there's the Darius Slay stuff away from the world of baseball. And listening to Darius Slay over the last couple of days on his own podcast with Micah Parsons. He goes on the Micah Parsons podcast as well. His podcast, Micah Parsons podcast, talking about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, talking about a teammate. And I stand by the point I made yesterday, which was it wasn't so much what he said, it was how he said it. Like laughing at Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson took to, I think it was Instagram, and he just responded with, damn. Okay. Alluding to a teammate, Darius Slay, a captain nonetheless, talking about his play in such a laissez-faire manner. Then Darius Slay apologizes, not just for that, but also for taking to Twitter to post his stats after the Eagles lost to the Bucs, basically saying, hey, I have had a great career. Let's not forget the fact that I'm pretty great and I had a bad game. Which is so not the point. It's even more annoying than the previous tweet. Then he apologized, says he got up in his feels, he deleted the tweet and all that stuff. For me, this guy's supposed to be a captain. And this was a guy who cried 2 years ago when the team made him a captain. That's how much it meant to him to be recognized as a leader. And this is the way he behaves? I don't think so. That ain't going to fly. So listening to Darius Slay over the last couple of days, and then knowing it's a team captain, talking about a guy in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson who's struggled and has had some bad angles, and who also, CJGJ, has also been up in his own feels when he was pissed at people talking about how he missed a tackle in Brazil against the Packers, and he said, oh, I want to see you guys make tackles. I always find it hilarious whenever people are like, hey, you, non-professional athlete. Hey, you, person who hasn't played organized sports since, I don't know, maybe high school, all right? You go out there and tackle. Why do you want me to do it? I'm not a professional. I haven't even trained. I understand it's hard. That's why I don't do it. That's why you're the professional athlete. But he goes out there and he's like, oh, I let's see you guys come out here and try to tackle like I was trying to tackle in Brazil. All right, fine. So everyone's up in their fields. Great. This team with the leadership like that, and then looking at the coaching staff and how things seem to be insanely discombobulated when it comes to Nick Sirianni, and it comes to Kellen Moore, and it comes to even Vic Fangio and his players. This seems like this Eagles team, for the high hopes that I had for this Eagles team, and going from last year to this year with the changes you made with the coaching staff and retaining the head coach, this Eagles team is a broken team. This is a broken team. I was expecting an 11-win season. I was expecting the talent that was on this roster. I was looking at that defensive line and saying, you know what? These guys are going to be ready. Now, all the right messages throughout the offseason about being in the best shape of their lives. No one's coming to save us. Through the first 4 weeks of the season, you've seen great inconsistency from that defensive line. And in 3 of the 4 games, you just haven't really seen a good defensive line. Not even a little bit. The Saints game, oh, man, they had a chip on their shoulder. They went out there and they did their thing. And then every other game, you're like, nope, not it. Linebackers. I went through this yesterday. Linebackers. Oh, my God. Week 1. All right. Like, we're out here. This is good. Week 2. Maybe this isn't so good. Week 3. All right. They got it. Week 4. Where are you guys? Are you guys going to make? Oh, you're missing tackles. Sorry. I didn't see you there. Darius Slay, the football player. Like, I would love to say that I could look at Darius Slay's play on the field and say, well, at least he's still great. He looks like he's lost a step. Vic Fangio called it out yesterday, saying that these guys have the option to go up to the line of scrimmage and play press coverage. It's up to them. And to see Darius Slay playing off the ball so much, where's the physicality factor here? I know that wasn't his MO, but when it needs to be called upon, let's call upon it. If you're noticing the quarterback is getting rid of the football within a second and a half, oh, maybe you should jam at the line of scrimmage a little bit. Take that option away from him. And maybe, just maybe, you give the chance to a Jordan Davis or a Jalen Carter or a Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, who did have one big sack in the game, and Bryce Huff, who appeared on the stat sheet finally. Maybe you give him a little more an opportunity. I'd love to say that it's just about his play on the field, but the fact that he's a leader and he is talking about guys and how they're playing in interviews, it's just, what? What are we doing? And I know we call for honesty all the time. And Darius Slay's reaction to CJGJ is exactly how a lot of us have responded. But there's one huge difference. We're not his teammate. We're not a captain of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're not looked at for leadership in the Philadelphia Eagles locker room. Darius Slay is. Couple him in with just about everything else that has been insanely inconsistent. And we're also talking about Darius Slay. Let's not forget, who allowed the touchdown to Drake London against the Falcons? Who got caught looking in the backfield? Darius Slay. Did Chauncey Gardner-Johnson come out and do some interview about how Darius Slay needs to pick his jock strap up because he was faked out of it by Drake London? No. Did he laugh about what Darius Slay's struggles were? No. Did he address the media after the game? Yes. Did any of this come up? No. That seems like a pretty good teammate to me. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, that is. And then anytime anybody focuses on the fans, I'm just like, oh my God, man, do you not? What? How many times do we have to go over this chart? Never talk trash on the fans. They're the paying customer. They pretty much get to do whatever they want. And if you're going to be bothered by it, they'd be bothered by it. But I wouldn't take hey, this is how you do it. This is how you cheer. This is how you support. Or if you're a CJGJ also, I'd like to see you tackle. Okay. No, you wouldn't. You want to see me? Oh, because what's funny about me tackling, it would look exactly like you tackled. And a lot of these, in particular against the Bucks and the Packers. Also against the Saints. Yeah, that's one too. But yeah, that's how I think. That's how I look at it. I'd love for them to I'd love to just look at it and say, man, these guys should just play better. I agree. However, when they appear as broken as they do right now, and I hear Vic Fangio talking about the snap count of Jalen Carter and whether or not Jalen Carter can play 300 more snaps than he did a year ago, and I hear Vic Fangio go, yeah, most guys can do it. Most guys I've coached could do it. That's up to the player. That means get your ass together. Get your ass in gear, Jalen Carter. That's what it means. So I hear that from a brutally honest defensive coordinator. I hear honesty from Darius Slay, regardless of an apology. I see constant mistakes made by Slay and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who to this point has been a disappointment. He's had one big play that I can think of, which I was thinking about yesterday. I was like, well, what has he really done? He made that stop on the 4th and 1 on Bijan Robinson against the Falcons. And then that's, unfortunately, the Eagles got the ball back at that point. They went down the field, and that's where you had the drop by Saquon Barkley that would have iced the game. And we're talking about a 3-1 Eagles team maybe at that point. But then I look at the offensive side of things, and I'm hearing more and more about Nick Sirianni's involvement in the offense, the glaring similarities from last year to this year with the offense. I still can't get over the fact that we've barely talked about, other people have barely talked about the idea of what a measuring stick game this Bucs game was. And I didn't even think about it going into the bye. It more hit me Or excuse me, I didn't even think about like when the schedule came out about what the game would mean. Because I guess I didn't expect the Eagles to play as bad as they did. But, to get blown out again. But this was such a huge deal to Kellen Moore. Because the Eagles could barely get in the offense. Or excuse me, the Eagles offense could barely get in the end zone last year in the playoffs against the Bucs. And they were blown out. And the defense was blown out. The offense was blown out last year. You then, with that taste in your mouth, lingering into the offseason, the Eagles decided, all right, here's the problem. The problem, both defensive coordinators that we had last year, both you guys gone. All right, Brian Johnson, you're clearly a problem here. You're gone. Kellen Moore, come in. And Jalen Hurts probably sitting there like, I'm sorry, who was the problem? Oh, Brian Johnson was my guy was the problem. That's interesting. That's funny because that guy, Nick Sirianni, not my guy. That guy, Nick Sirianni, he's the guy still calling plays. He's the guy still running the show. And he's still here? Okay, that seems like it's that makes sense. Okay. So Kellen Moore's in, and this game was supposed to be a big difference maker in the Eagles offense. I understand you didn't have Devontae Smith. I understand you did not have A.J. Brown. You did not have Lane Johnson. And I know all that, right? But the offense with Jalen Hurts, with Saquon Barkley, with Dallas Goedert coming off a career game, could do nothing. Could do nothing. Especially when I can't stop highlighting it, 24-0. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 24 points before the Eagles got a first down. That wasn't good. That was bad. And then the turnover issues with Jalen Hurts this year just have continued. Just continue like that. I can't think of too many times. I remember when Michael Vick had his turnover issues, they kept going until he wasn't playing anymore. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. I can't remember too many times where there were huge glaring turnover issues, and then they just got corrected. Oh, the bye week was magical. During the bye week, they went to the non-turnover fairy, and she was like, sprinkle, 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 little pixie dust on you, and all of a sudden you didn't turn the football over anymore, or at least not at a historically alarming rate. You know what I mean? So when the offense gets moving, you see a turnover. When the defense actually shows some signs of life, like against the Saints, they come out the next week and they get torched by Baker Mayfield. And Vic Fangio, who gives the option apparently to his cornerbacks, doesn't just mandate, hey, you see what they're doing? Getting rid of the ball so quick? This is the plan. Get on the line of scrimmage. Get in that receiver's face. Throw that timing off. Ultimately, the reason I feel like this is a broken team, it's got nothing to do with the injuries. It's got a lot to do with the turnovers. But the number one thing is, and I got into this last week, the head coach of a football team is supposed to provide, for lack of a better term, the vibe. Like they're supposed to be the jolt of energy. They're supposed to be the guy that kind of makes sure everything stays together. And Darius Slay, a leader on the team, talking about a teammate publicly, bothers me a hell of a lot more than I thought it would initially. Simply because now I look at Nick Sirianni and I go, all right, well, let's go through this now. The culture is supposed to be his big thing, right? Because I don't know if you missed it, he's not calling plays anymore. He's supposedly not as involved in the game plan as he once was. Okay. So that leaves the emotional intelligence. That leaves the accountability. And let's not forget him earlier in the week on Monday talking about you guys only see me in the press conferences. You guys only see and hear what we talk about. You guys don't see me and hear me behind the scenes trying to correct these mistakes. You know, he's a real hard ass behind the scenes. And I look at Nick Sirianni and I think, wait a minute, hold on, what's going on here? This is a guy that's coming out here and supposed to be all about accountability, all about emotional intelligence, and all about like the good vibe in the locker room. And now you got a team captain publicly calling out another teammate. Huh. That doesn't seem good. You also have Jalen Carter sleeping through his alarm or didn't plug in his phone, whatever excuse is. Bottom line is he was late. The number one reason why I feel like this team is broken is because how do you trust the head coach? Like The head coach of a football team is supposed to not be important in Philadelphia. Is that the way this goes? Like they continuously strip him of responsibility. And now the one thing that he's supposed to be great at, a lot of holes. A lot of holes. And the revelation that he's still involved in play calling and every once in a while call play shouldn't be as shocking. But the fact that the Eagles are 2-2, the fact that Jalen Hurts' turnovers have continued, the fact that you were supposed to have two coordinators come in here and be the saviors of the day, and that hasn't happened yet, it all stems back to the head coach. And you could continue to talk about the power, the lack of power that Nick Sirianni, apparently the lack of power he has here in Philadelphia, and Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, and looking at how they're really running the show and trusting the coordinators. But the coordinators haven't worked out. So if you're a blind optimist, you might be looking at the Philadelphia Eagles team, and you might just think to yourself, oh, you know what? They'll be fine. Oh, they got the bye week. They're going to come out of the bye. They got the Browns. That'll be a good jumping off point. And they'll get guys healthy. Yeah, we'll be fine. I hope that's the case. I'm rooting for that to be the case. But as of right now, mostly because of turnovers and the head coach of this football team, I feel like this is a broken team. That's how I look at the Philadelphia Eagles right now. And you know what? That's not fun because there's a long season ahead of us. And from a fan's perspective, I look at the Phillies and I'm just like, and I hate pitting the teams against each other. Like, this team's not good, so I'm going to root for this one, or I'm going to hope this team alleviates my pain from watching this one, or whatever it might be. I hate doing that, but that's what I'm thinking right now. Let me just get to the Phillies. Let me enjoy the Phillies. Hopefully they have a nice little NLDS. They move on to the NLCS for a third straight year, and they move on to a World Series and they win it. And then it won't be as tough. It won't be as tough to follow the Eagles this year. By the way, I got a number of guys here that are on my bye week list of guys that better shape the hell up before the end of the before any playoff hopes are extinguished. Let's put it that way. And they got time. So I'll get to that a little bit later. Also, Jason Kelce was back in the news for hilarious reasons. Oh, my goodness gracious. I don't know what you guys think about Fox News or whatever, but I saw this on Fox News, and I was dying. This is just a little breakup here. So Raheem Morris was asked about, the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons was asked about Kyle Pitts not showing up in the stat sheet really for the Falcons in their last game. So he was talking about stats. I really don't care about stats. So then that caused the Kelce's to go on a little riff about stats. And what do I always tell you about stats? Numbers never lie, but they sure as hell deceive. Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce were on their New Heights podcast, and they were talking about stats and how stats are stupid and all that stuff. The quote that was brought up, and this is from Jason Kelce, and this is from a Fox News story. Stats are numbers. What do I care about? What I care about is football. Where does it go? Does it go in the end zone? Sorry, what I care about is the football. Where does it go? Does it go in the end zone? Do we get points? Points are also numbers, but points determine games and wins and losses. Stats are numbers, and numbers are nerds, and nerds are losers. Therefore, stats are losers. According to Jason Kelce in his own thing. So this is from this story by Fox News that came up there. All right. Jason Kelce blasts statistics in wild rant. Stats are numbers. Numbers are nerds. Nerds are losers. To which then Jason Kelce quote tweeted, "This is the funniest headline I've ever read." And I was like, finally, some levity during the bye week. Thank you, Jason Kelce, for that moment. Wonderful. I agree entirely. And the more, I guess, I don't know, when I was younger, in college and stuff, and I was in college radio and stuff, and I'd be putting a show together, and I'd be doing the stats and all that stuff, and I'd be like, oh, these are the stats, I feel like as a kid, you really look at stats, and you look at, oh, well, how many touchdowns, how many interceptions, and you kind of, in your mind, they tell a lot of the story. But then as, I watch more and more football and talk to more and more players, I realize, like, a lot of times, stats, they keep track of everything, but they don't say why. Like, the perfect example is a quarterback throwing interceptions. How many were tipped? How many were in the hands of a receiver and popped up in the air and allowed a defensive back to get under it and get the interception. A bad snap. How many times? That's always charged to the quarterback, but how many times did the center get the snap wrong? Stuff like that. They don't tell the reason why. The famous quote that always gets reiterated is they don't ask how, they ask how many. So now, if you continue those stats, if you continue adding to a column first, for instance, turnovers, well, then that's a trend. And then stats become relevant. When it's that many times, okay, now we have a problem. All those weren't on the center or the wide receiver or whatever. It was, it's you when it's consistent. But all in all, what they don't do is they don't tell you the why. They just tell you the how many. That's it. How did it happen? I don't know. How many they have? Oh, they had 14. Oh, wow. Or Jalen Hurts' example, 15 interceptions last year, as many as the 2 previous seasons combined. That's tough. That's not good. You should stop turning the ball over in that case. So I look at stats in a similar way than Jason Kelce. Plus, all that really matters is the final score. And I know I had an argument with somebody on social media the other day where I was talking about the Eagles weren't able to get anything done offensively, and they referenced offensive yards. This was against the Saints. I'm like, yeah, but they turned the ball over in the red zone again, and they got no points. They had opportunities to score points in the first half, and they either threw the ball to the other team or they opted not to kick a field goal. So that kind of sucks. Maybe. And also, you're also talking about huge plays. Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, stuff like that, where that's one thing you did right. One thing you did right. Could you keep that going at all throughout the game? No? Okay. And at the end of the game, they don't go, well, the Eagles had 401 yards and the Saints had 370, so the Eagles win. No, that's not how it works. It's points are the only thing that truly matters. There's exceptions to everything, but that's, I think, a good basis to be on. But I just love the idea of just breaking it back down to nerds. Stats are numbers. Numbers are nerds. Nerds are losers. Therefore, stats are losers. It's fun. We're all having fun here. Thank you for that, Jason Kelce. You know what's funny about all this? This is all serious stuff. The Eagles are on their bye week. The Phillies just played an inter-squad game, okay, to get ready for the NLDS. And the Flyers, Matvey Michkov, holy baby, this guy is lighting up the preseason. The Flyers are going to be fun this year. I'm legit really looking forward to the Flyers. Also, the 76ers are in the Bahamas for training camp. I think the Sixers might be having a better time than the Eagles, who are on their bye week. And still the talk of the town, thanks to a bunch of BS by players, and struggles, obviously, going into the postseason. But I was reading a story by Keith Pompey, Inquirer.com, about Tyrese Maxey. And I love the transition of younger players to leaders. And Tyrese Maxey now, when you think about progression of an athlete, I think about Tyrese Maxey. And I used to think of Jalen Hurts. Like I used to even use the word, I coined a word, a Hurtsian leap from year 1 as a starter to year 2 as a starter. Tyrese Maxey has taken these Maxian leaps. Yeah. Now, he hasn't won an MVP or competed for an MVP award. He made it to an All-Star last year, which is pretty damn special. But this is a guy that, in Tyrese Maxey, has gone from not being able to get on the court to your starting point guard to significant playoff minutes, starting point guard after the Ben Simmons fiasco after Game 7 against the Hawks, as we all remember, to getting encouragement from Joel Embiid, to getting encouragement from James Harden, moving on from Doc Rivers, bringing in Nick Nurse, getting his just due when it comes to an all-star performance of a season being highlighted by the league for making him an all-star, by making him an all-star. And now this is a guy that's no longer the kid. This is a guy that is now part of a big three in the NBA with Joel Embiid and Paul George. And now he has guys that are going to look up to him, like Jerry McCann, for instance, a rookie who's coming into this league, and we're looking at him as a role model. And Keith Pompey is highlighting all this stuff. And really what it comes down to is a mindset. Like, I looked at Jalen Hurts like, this is a guy that has a great mindset, and if there's a problem, he's going to do everything he can possibly do to correct that problem. And now it's like, well, the problem's continued. So what? Now what? Now what? And now I look at Tyrese Maxey and I go, this guy, okay, forget about just the overall improvement. The things I admire about great NBA players, and Joel Embiid has done this as well, is you pick something in your game in the offseason. And this is why I hate the question people will ask, and it came up in media day, with just about everybody. Like, what in the offseason you work on? Because it's such an easy out for the subject. Like, if I ask you that, or if you ask me that question, what have you worked on in the offseason? I'm like, well, everything. Yeah, I worked on everything. I did everything I could in the offseason to get better, basically everything. It's like, okay, what specifically? Now, obviously, you always want to get better at everything, but like, what specifically do you work on in your game to bring into this season that you're looking to put on display? And when you ask something like that of Tyrese Maxey, he gets into specifics. Fadeaway jumper, three-point game, pull-up jumper, mid-range game. Mid-range game was the big assignment this offseason for him. I very much look forward. I don't think he'll be DeMar DeRozan when it comes to a mid-range game, but if you just have that in your arsenal, it's such a valuable thing. And I don't even need to go into the Ben Simmons fiasco, but that was so frustrating about it. There was nothing there's nothing he improved on. But having a guy like Tyrese Maxey, knowing his work ethic, knowing how respected he is already as a young player, and now league-wide as an all-star, and a coach that obviously wants to exploit everything he possibly can in the talent basket that is Tyrese Maxey, in the very deep talent bucket that is Tyrese Maxey. That's that mindset in any young athlete, and that's going to go a long way. And these guys are in the Bahamas now working out, getting ready for the year. And I know I say it, and I've been saying it for the last few years here, that it really, for the Sixers, the season doesn't start until the postseason. The season doesn't start until you get to the playoffs, because that's all that matters. What's the health status of Joel Embiid? Have these guys figured out how to play together? Has Nick Nurse been able to organize this talent? How is this going to all come together? Are they going to get bounced out by the Knicks? By the way, this might be a homer reaction, but I think the Knicks got worse. Like, you brought in Karl Anthony Towns, brought in Cat, and in exchange, you gave away one of the guys that was one of your core members, and a guy that you just can't get that type of chemistry and culture with, in Dante DiVincenzo, and a guy that Joel Embiid matches up pretty damn well against, Karl Anthony Towns. Also, Minnesota, you just made the play. What the hell's going on over there? Anyway, yeah, I look at this team and I just want to see how they do in the playoffs. And ultimately, I'll enjoy the 82-game regular season. And I'll, of course, be bringing you your postcasts on Locked On Sports Philadelphia with the Sixers. But seeing Tyrese Maxey come up, improve, consistently work, sets a high bar for other athletes that are going to be coming down the line here in Philadelphia. To pivot back to football, and I got my list here I want to give you guys. Also, some other notes on the scrimmage game. I feel like I've just done an open for the last 35 minutes. Anyway, I'm just ranting and raving. One younger guy that I do want to mention, other than Tyrese Maxey, and this is a rookie, and I've sung his praises before, but hot damn, Quinyon Mitchell. Did you guys see this video? I forget what this was. This is incredible. This is Quinyon Mitchell, who I think he covered Mike Evans 4 times on Sunday and allowed 2 catches. And walking off the field at one point, Quinyon Mitchell was mic'd up or at least his audio was caught by cameras, and this is him and Mike Evans walking off the field together after Quinyon Mitchell broke up a play.
You easy. I've been on you all day, bro. You easy. Huh? You easy as to get over. I've been on you all day, cuz. How many catches you got on me? You got one catch, you got a win. That's it. All right. You know who I am, right? You know who I am, right? No, I do not. No. I don't. Rookie, right? Yeah, that means you got more juice. Man, you should have the most juice out here. We 31.
Do you not love that? Do you not love that? Every second of it. Quinyon Mitchell walking off the field with Mike Evans. To that point, he only allowed one catch. Mike Evans is like, you easy. And Quinyon Mitchell just snaps right back at him and keeps it coming for the entire game. That kid's the real deal, man. That kid is absolutely 1,000% the real deal. And Mike Evans is talking to him like, dude, do you know who I am? He's like, I'm a 5-time Pro Bowler. I'm a Super Bowl champion. I get 1,000 yards every year. You can't stay on me. And Quinyon Mitchell is like, hey, you know what's funny? I am staying on you. And you know what's funny about this? All the things you're saying I'm never going to do, I'm doing already. That's really what you're saying, Mike Evans, is funny to me. Ha 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 ha. Quinyon Mitchell is a battler, man. So far, 25 times targeted this year. He's allowed 13 receptions. That's pretty damn good. 6 pass breakups already. That's pretty damn good, too. That's pretty good. Pretty good. So, Mike Evans. Thank you very much. Here's a list I want to give you guys. These are the guys that are tops on my list, and you guys can let me know who's tops on your list. I think I get everybody here, but this is just the get it together list after the week 5 bye week. So Eagles are 2-2. Defense hasn't looked incredible. Defensive line hasn't looked incredible. Defense in general. Offense has left a lot to be desired. Kellen Moore, unfortunately, has left a lot to be desired as well. So here you go. In no particular order. Nakobe Dean. Seth Joyner and Derek Gunn had a spirited debate in the postgame show last week about what Nakobe Dean's position should be with the Eagles. What should be the inside linebacker, outside linebacker? What should it? Seth is hell bent on him being a middle linebacker. Derek Gunner thinks, I don't think I've ever referred to him as Derek. Gunner has is hell bent on him being on the outside. I do not see Nakobe Dean's long-term future, long-term career in the NFL. If it is long-term, I don't see it as a middle linebacker. I think he is undersized, and I think everything he does well, it more benefits him on the outside, where you can have guys that are faster, drop back in coverage more often. I do not see him as a middle linebacker, inside linebacker, throughout his career, however long it may be in the NFL. Zach Bond, I find to be much better suited for that. But if you're messing with him, you're messing with the guy who's been your best linebacker. So it's kind of a conundrum that the Eagles are in right now. But Nakobe Dean overall needs to be better, needs to be more consistent. 2 out of 4 games, not good enough. Not good enough for a starting middle linebacker in the NFL. Missed tackles can't happen. The thing that drives me crazy is that the instinct is there. The physicality isn't. And that's kind of important in football, whether that's shedding blockers and then being able to get to the ball carrier and then bringing him down. We've seen him do it 2 out of the 4 games. I know he's a guy that's coming off of not a lot of games in the NFL. Playing, that is. He's been around for him. He just hasn't played in them. I'm hoping this clicks in very soon, but I need consistency, and I haven't seen it from him. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, 6 interceptions in his previous year with the Eagles. Nothing so far this year. 1 big play. The play I referenced earlier. Bijan Robinson, 4th and 1 against the Atlanta Falcons, and he made the stop. Other than that, left a lot to be desired. The attitude he brings, the swag he brings, the competitive nature, of course, that he has, that's all great. He keeps it going on. No matter what happens, he's out there to play the next day. He's got a little bit of that Jalen Mills type of attitude. Jalen Mills would allow a 60-yard reception that puts the team on the Eagles' 5-yard line, and they're knocking on the doorstep and score a touchdown. And Jalen Mills, his guy gets targeted, but it's overthrown. He had nothing to do with it. The ball is just overthrown, and he's doing the finger wag like, nope, not on my time. Not on my time. And it's like, really? That is 60-yard reception? No? Okay. But CD Deuce has that same type of mojo about him. I know that there's a better brand of football in CD Deuce, and I'd really like to see that. Really like to see that starting in week 6. Please and thank you. Slay, I kind of ran it on earlier. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. Are they under the impression that somebody's coming to save them? Because somebody's not coming to save them. I thought they even said that. Fletcher Cox isn't walking through the door. I think I referenced this yesterday, but it was Fletcher Cox talking about how this is a young team and the bye week is coming at a perfect time for this young team. Okay. So hopefully they take this week and they look around and they go, all right, well, nope, Fletcher's still not here. I mean, we got to do our thing. So let's go out there and do our thing. So Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, definitely on the list there. Kellen Moore. I know we all love motion. Okay, we all love motion. Oh, wow, they ran motion. Oh, my goodness. That's how bad things have been. In that simple motion makes us go, wow, what a genius. Yeah. It shouldn't, but that's how a lot of us have looked at it in the early goings of this. But I even said that in preseason. I said, wow, a motion play to Will Shipley. Oh, my goodness. This shouldn't be as mind-blowing as it is, but it's mind-blowing to me because of what we've watched recently. I know you're down a lot of your offensive starters, and I do believe this. Yesterday, I was talking about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith come back and stay healthy. You have a lot of wiggle room with those guys. You can afford other mistakes if you know that you have those guys to throw the ball to. So assuming they get back and they're healthy and they don't miss a lot of time after that, I think ultimately the offense will steady the ship. But I need to see a lot more from Kellen Moore. And one game you had all your weapons. Week 1 against the Packers, you put up over 30. My bigger problem is that defensively, not so much the scheme with Fangio, but the talent on defense needs to be a hell of a lot better. And that's a direct reflection of Howie Roseman. Darius Slay looks like Pro Bowl days are well behind him. He does not look like the same player. And you're talking about a veteran on the team also being looked at as a leader. Well, for all the reasons I talked about earlier with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and what he had to say about him and how he had to say it with the laughing and all that, that ain't good, man. That's a negative. That's similar to Nick Sirianni. In that you're talking about the emotional aspect of what they bring to the table, a leadership. If Nick Sirianni isn't bringing that leadership, and if Darius Slay ain't playing well, and he's not bringing leadership, well, then what are you doing here? So Slay, obviously. Kellen Moore. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I mentioned. And then the most obvious of the obvious. Jalen Hurts has really made me concerned. And I root hard for Jalen Hurts. I really like a lot of things about this guy. But if he can't stop the turnovers, this team is not going anywhere. Like 4 weeks ago, Eagles, absolutely, they could win the Super Bowl. Absolutely. Watching the team for 4 weeks of a 17-game season, I look at this team and I go, damn, there's problems. There's a lot of problems. And the Eagles, let's say Saquon Barkley catches that ball and they're 3-1. They beat the Falcons, right? Let's say they're 3-1 at this point, and then they get blown out again by the Bucs. Watching this team play through 4 games, forget about what the record is. Does this look like a team to you that's going to win a Super Bowl? I think the Eagles are going to make the playoffs. I don't think of the Eagles right now at the bye week as a Super Bowl contending team. The interceptions, the fumbles, overall turnovers, and takeaways, by the way, by your defense are not happening at a very good rate. And the Eagles need to improve in both aspects, takeaways and giveaways. And I just don't see it happening. And the defense doesn't look like they're going to be ball hawking, which is, again, why I look at Chauncey Gardner-Johnson as the guy who's got to be taking that ball away. Reed Blankenship, good job by you taking that ball away, the only guy to take a ball away. But everything else needs to fall in place for this Eagles defense. Everything else needs to fall in place for Jalen Hurts. Because with A.J. Brown and with Devontae Smith, he's still turning the football over. And you can't continue to give opportunities to the opposition. And the most horrifying thing, and I think I've said it every show this week, is that I now look at Jalen Hurts, and I was waiting for it in the second half of the game. I now look at Jalen Hurts as I looked at so many other turnover-prone quarterbacks, turnover machines in the NFL, where you just wait for that moment. Oh, everything's going right, but we haven't had that Jalen Hurts interception yet. We haven't had that Jalen Hurts fumble yet. Will they be able to sustain momentum after he turns the ball over? Because you know it's happening. That's what I'll be crossing my fingers for. All right. Before I get to the chat check. Phillies inter-squad game yesterday. I mentioned it was Figueroa and Wathan managing a Schwarber captain team, Kyle Schwarber, and Bryce Harper. Topper said the guys really got into it. Oh, Jeff, this is one thing I didn't get to. Jeff Hoffman did not pitch yesterday. He slept wrong. So he's got a stiff neck. Lord knows I've been there. Ranger Suarez, 2 innings, 21 pitches, hit 93 on the gun. Spencer Turnbull, a little erratic, according to Rob Thompson. Media was not allowed in the game, by the way. Not likely to play in the NLDS. It was a 5-5 tie. Casty, Wilson, and Harper homered. Voluntary workout today for the Phils. Mandatory workout tomorrow for the Phillies. Mets and Brew Crew. Mets and Brew Crew get underway today. After the Brewers won 5-3 yesterday. Rhys Hoskins still has yet to get a hit. What time's the game today? Is it 7 o'clock? 7 o'clock tonight. Jose Quintana against Tobias Myers. Let's go, Toby! All right, let's get to the first, let me tell you about the amazing people, ladies and gentlemen, at the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Don't forget about Game Time Picks as well. Game Time Picks allows you to filter out all the fluff on the Game Time app, so you just get right down to brass tacks, the best tickets for the best prices on the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app as I push buttons. So there you go. Let's get to, PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check. I want to see how you beautiful people are doing on this fine Thursday already morning. Thursday. April, good morning. Dealer time straight up. Farzy, or Sean Gillespie, good morning. Sean Gillespie, I swore Chiriani just startled me on the regional rail stop. He looks so sad and defeated. That would be great if he's just taking a regional rail. Wings. What? Wings? Who's talking about wings? I'll eat some wings. Sean Kilrain, hello. Sean Gillespie. Farzi's head will be really shiny now. What's going on here? It's been a minute. I need to shave the head. Sean Kilrain, who's everyone see us playing? The Fets or the Brew Crew? And what team you don't want to face? Here's the deal. I think the Phillies win against the Brewers or the Mets. It would be more fun to beat the Mets. I think it'll be easier to beat the Brewers. So to answer your question, to get off the fence, I want the Mets. Because that'd be awesome. That'd be so much fun, and I think you win. James Alexander III. Hello. Good morning, Farzy. I'm ready for the playoffs. I'm going to the Reading Terminal Market Saturday before the game for my party. Wings, chicken tenders. Good for you. Making garlic Parmesan tenders and Asian zing wings. Garlic Parmesan. Garlic Parmesan wings or tendies. Oh, yeah. I'm in. That's fantastic. 2% Tigers. How about that? Tate Jeffries, what's going on? Eagles fan, Farzy, what up, my brother? Good morning. Good morning to you. Jason A., good morning. Ultra Cowboy, great young player in Milwaukee. Yeah, Churio's amazing. No more bang bang in Houston. Oh, dude. Yeah, Eagles fan. I did see that. So for those that didn't, Maddox and Evans were talking about playing Fortnite. I don't like it. Maddox is a big Fortnite guy. He's been on the show. He was in one of our episodes of SkyDrive. He likes Fortnite. The only thing I'll say is I don't know when that was said in the game. Either way, you don't like it. You don't want to hear that stuff. And I know that the NFL, when they put stuff together like that, they're like, oh, this is fun. People will think this is fun. Nobody thinks it's fun. Nobody thinks this. We hate that. We want it to be all business, baby. You want that guy. You want Devontae Maddox to say to Mike Evans, you better not go across the middle. Not that Mike Evans, I don't think would take it serious, but you better not go across the middle. Not, hey, you want to play Fortnite? No. Braves and Astros are gone. Look. I hate the Braves. I got all the respect in the world for them making the wild card round of the playoffs. Think about that. Like, if we lost everybody throughout the season and then you're still playing in the wild card round, granted he got swept out, that's pretty incredible. Babs. What's up, Babs? Farzy, question for you. The Dodgers are the 1 seed and they're playing the Padres, who are better than the Mets, better than the Brewers. What am I missing? Phillies catching a break? No, the Phillies are catching a break. I absolutely think the Phillies are catching a break. The Padres, I think, are the most dangerous team in the postseason. Sean Conroy, never really liked little play Slay. Just shut your mouth and play the game. All he does is run his mouth. Who cares about your stats? Go and play the game. I agree. Eagles missing 3 defensive players in the first round has really set them back. I will say that Quinyon Mitchell looks like the real damn deal. IBH, hello. If the Phillies play the Mets, I don't want to see the bank full of New York fans like we saw the Sixers play the Knicks. That's terrible. Mark, 1982. Not a broken team. Total overreaction, still winning 12 games. I hope you're right. For that to be right, get healthy. Stop turning the football over. Get healthy. Stop turning the football over. Clairvoy, Darius Slade needs to go. Robert, hello. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Players who will not return. Jonathan Harvey. Players who will not return next season. Devin White, Jahan Dotson, and non-dedicated to serious football for this team, Darius Slay. That's a hell of a lengthy nickname. Coach Corey B. Hiking. Good morning. Wow. The culture coach isn't doing well with the culture. That's a good way to put it. Donnell Shipley, what's going on? Me too. That's funny. Jonathan Harvey, that's interesting. Warning to Phillies fans, in the playoff history of Milwaukee, every team that defeated Milwaukee in the playoffs went to the World Series. So I hope the Phillies and Mets, so I hope the Phillies have the Mets next if they beat Milwaukee. Boy, oh boy. Nerds! I did see that, April. The White Witch. Stevie Nicks on the next Christmas album. I saw that picture. That's pretty cool. Fantasy football gave the huge emphasis on stats. Doesn't matter if it's a win or garbage time loss. Claire, that's true. Tracy, hello. What are we really going to give the players this much of a pass like in game decisions? Cool. But shouldn't be on Nicky Bay. Oh, I agree. Tracy, I always look at players before I look at coaches. William Robinson, there's no role with y'all. Either you are one of us or not. Plain and simple. I don't know what that means. Midnight Lexicon, great name. D needs a dominant D line. We don't have that. Probably, yeah, you're right. Ryan, we need Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni to switch personalities in all caps. We'd love for that to happen. Coach MDFX, Farzy morning show over all of the morning shows. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that, Coach. Think tank, go Birds. Let's be honest, Dean and Maddox are the weakest links on the defense. My only thing with Maddox is he wasn't supposed to play. Oh, I forgot to mention this. A saving grace. After the bye week, you might see Cooper DeJean playing in the nickel corner position. So that's one change. Bob Chong. Morning, everyone. Kellen Moore should be the head coach the rest of the year. I agree with this. B. Illy. Great name. Everyone hates numbers and stats until contract time. Look at my stats. I deserve this much. Yeah. On that note, Bill, B. Illy. One of the first thoughts I had was Jason Kelsey's a center. He doesn't have that many stats. You know what I mean? So you could say that as a center. And also he's saying it to his brother Travis, whose stats suck this year. So it's also a little bit of, it's okay, buddy. You know, that kind of. Anyway, thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. Hey, be back with you guys tomorrow for a Friday edition of the Farzy Show. We'll preview whoever the Phillies have in the NLDS. Look forward to getting into that and all that sort of fun stuff. I mentioned to you guys yesterday around this time that I had lunch yesterday with my 102-year-old uncle. My dad's uncle, my grandmother's brother, my great uncle, technically, Uncle Frank. And man, it was awesome. You cherish every moment, obviously, with your elders, especially if they're 102 years old. And this man, he says to me, he's like, I want to show you something. So he takes us outside and he's got a scooter, a 3-wheel scooter. It looks like a Vespa. 102 years old. This guy gets on this thing and he's like, watch this. And gone. Like he just flies, just gone. Like this thing's going in a senior community, 30, 35 miles per hour on a scooter is something. And he is 102 years old. He put his cane in the back pouch of the scooter. And then he drives it around the sidewalk of the retirement community and then comes right up to me and goes, I'm going to go for a run. Wait for me. And then he goes out into the parking lot, which is the size of 2 football fields. And he just goes around the whole thing, top speed, back down around, comes up, and then pulls up in front of me. Pulls up in front of me. He's like, how about that? It's like, this guy's incredible. Like, we should all be so lucky, man. And he's quick, sharp as a tack, man. Sharp as a tack, Uncle Frank. Love you, Uncle Frank. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are fantastic. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow for a Friday edition of the Farzy Show. Look forward to it then. See you guys then. Have a wonderful rest of your day.